Many people have problem with numerical questions, but how do you easily solve them? Today, I'll tell you my experience of how I did that because I got 97% in my 10th board exam. So, of course, there were a lot of instances where I had to solve numerical questions, even though I did not really like them at that point. The simple answer to solving numerical questions is realizing that if you know how to solve numerical questions, then they're really fun. But if you do not, then they're boring and you do not want to do them. Imagine you are in your class sitting and the teacher says that this is a worksheet of very easy numerical questions which anyone can do and you're not able to solve them. Will you like it? Of course not. You will start hating numericals themselves. You will start thinking that, oh, numericals are stupid, that's why I will not do them or I cannot do them. And then imagine the second case. Imagine you're sitting in your class and the teacher says that this is a worksheet of numericals and this is really hard. So if anyone can do them, then they must be intelligent. And then everyone is thinking how to solve them and all. But you look at the worksheet and think that these are really easy questions actually, and you solve them all. Now people come to you, maybe even girls or whatever, and they say that, hey, how did you solve it or whatever? And you say that you have to do this or that, and everyone looks at you in awe. Now, of course, my point is not that this will happen in real life, but rather you can at least imagine that, right? Basically, if you know how to solve numericals, then they're really fun, and you will like to do them all day and all night. But if you do not like them, then they're boring and they're repetitive, and you do not want to do them at all. So our goal is to make you like numericals. And the simple solution that I use for myself is just repeating them as much as you can. Basically, rather than thinking of numericals as some kind of question specifically that you have to do no matter what, think of them as a conversion of language. You have to basically convert words to numbers. Let's say there is a question given as the number of moles are given and you have to find the molar mass or something. Maybe that's the kind of question. Now, on the first try, maybe you would not be able to understand it. Maybe on the second try, you would not be. Maybe on the third try, you forget how do you solve that. But on the fourth try, you would remember, of course, and therefore you will be able to solve it, right? Now, maybe some other question related to molarity comes up, and then you remember the principle that you used in that question previously, and therefore you will be able to use it in this question, and you will be able to solve it. So basically, the simple answer to solving numericals is not some cheap tactic like you have to do this or that, or you have to search on YouTube how to solve numericals or guessing options or whatever. The answer is simple and boring. It's repetition. Basically, for me, I repeat questions as much as I can. Imagine there's a question about barometer or manometer or something, and I do not know the answer. So rather than completing that question and then moving on to a different type of question, I will go to another question which is of the barometer or manometer type so that my mind will start understanding why that question works that well. Because at that point, the goal is not to solve the question. Of course, you are sitting alone in your room. You do not have to show to anyone that you can solve a question. The goal is to actually understand the mechanics behind the question. Basically, if I can solve 5 questions of barometer manometer at once, back to back, then the sixth question will be easy. Maybe for the first 5, I had to look up the steps and the solutions and all. Maybe for the sixth one, I can directly solve it without looking at the question. And that's what happens because then you do not have to think about which step comes after this. Like, for example, for the first question, you will try to solve it and you will not be able to. So, you will look at the steps and then you will think that okay, this comes after this and all. Then, in the second question, you will try the same thing, but maybe it's slightly different. That's why it will not work. In the third question, you'll start understanding the mechanics, like why this step actually happens and why this one does not. Then slowly, when you go to more and more advanced questions, you will start thinking in terms of the question itself. Basically, if I'm doing barometer questions, then in the starting, I will not understand or I will try to copy the steps. But by the ending, I would understand why this step happens and therefore I will be able to do it without any problem. The key is repetition. And the best thing that I do is playing music in the background. Because if I do, then my mind creates an association of music with numerical questions and therefore it becomes fun because then I can just listen to music and of course make sure that the music is not some lyrics type that you have to understand the lyrics to enjoy the music or you have to listen to some podcast or something where you have to focus on which character killed who for the murder mystery or whatever. You do not have to do that but rather some simple maybe classical music or maybe very simple very simple lyrical music. Okay, that is playing in the background, and then you are solving numerical questions. Of course, you would like to solve more and more questions because then, as the music is playing, you are enjoying it, and then you're solving the questions. So for you, it's basically you're doing two things at once. One thing which you already enjoy. So of course, your mind will create an association, and you will start thinking that I like music, and I'm solving numericals while listening to music. So why not solve more questions? Because this tactic specifically removes any major demotivation that you might have after not being able to solve numericals. Because then you will start focusing on the music if you cannot fully solve the numericals, and therefore it will become easier and easier. And then another thing is, just imagine yourself from a third person perspective, that the music is playing in the background and you're solving numerical questions. Imagine how cool that is. Like imagine there is some girl, or if you're a girl then there is some cool guy or something, and basically they are looking at you while you're solving the numerical questions, and you have headphones and everything on, and it's a classical music playing and you can solve all the questions. Imagine how cool that looks. Now, if you follow these techniques and basically repeat and repeat till it becomes easier, then you will be able to do it easily. I can guarantee that. Now, if you want more advice from me, like how do you actually get good grades, or how did I get 97%, or how do I actually remember information so much that I still remember a lot of things from 10th grade, even though it has been more than 1.5 years. If you want advice from me, then I highly recommend you to join my program. It's literally $5. Like, how much is $5? There are two links in the description. One is for Indian buyers, one is for international buyers. You can join the program, it will really help you. I can guarantee that. Now, I'll see you later. Till then, you can watch my other videos. I'll see you there. Till then, work like a dog, like a lion.